Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement, et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens, leur 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. LaBita.tv. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro on this Thursday, December 21st, a little later than usual. Yes, a little later than usual because it is 10:55 p.m. Eastern. What's going on with my court? There we go. The mic is much better now. 10:55 p.m. Eastern. Why are we going so late? Well, because it was a late start, of course, for us Montrealers, for us living in Montreal, because it started at 8 p.m. Eastern. Normally, we're accustomed to games starting at 7 p.m. Eastern or 7:30 p.m. Eastern. This one started at 8 o'clock, and this one went to overtime. It went to overtime, and when all was said and done, Kirill the Thrill, Kirill Kaprizov scores the game-winning goal for the second game in a row for the Minnesota Wild in overtime, and also by the same score, 4-3, because the Minnesota Wild beat the Boston Bruins last game by a score of 4-3. Kirill the Thrill, and once again tonight, it was Kirill the Thrill. There's a lot of positives in this hockey game, notably Uri Slavkovsky, and it just seems that every time I ask the president of the Uri Slavkovsky fan club, Grant McCagg, to join me, it seems like Uri has himself a heck of a hockey game. We're going to get to Grant in just a minute. But, of course, I want to let you know and remind you all that the Sick Podcast is brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America. They are driven to be different. It's also brought to you in part by La Bitte TB, brewed in Quebec and a winner of a dozen international awards. La Bitte TB offers quality microbrewery beers made with premium ingredients for everyone's taste. La Bitte TB, embrace your true nature. It's also brought to you in part by Playground. Over 600 machines, poker tournaments, and Playground casino games, daily promotions, unmatched customer service. Why go anywhere else? That's what I told my buddies. I'm going there tomorrow night, by the way. If you want to see me, I'll be there at Playground, located just over the Mercier Bridge, only minutes from downtown Montreal. And, of course, as you know, a couple of weeks ago, we welcomed Accent Insurance Solutions as a new sponsor to the Sick Podcast. You know, all insurance isn't created equal, and you know where to find the right solution for you. Accent Insurance. Accent doesn't sell insurance. They shop insurance for you to find the right product, right on the money, whatever your insurance needs, home, automobile, or business. And it's funny because when I saw Accent's phone number, I immediately thought of my good buddy Sergio Momesso, because their number, of course, is 514-363-3636. And that's the number for you to call. As a matter of fact, stay tuned, because a little bit later on in the show, I'm going to bring you the Accent Insurance moment of the game. I didn't have to look very long or hard for this one because it was pretty easy for me. I think it was pretty easy for you. Let's wait and see a little bit later on, of course, if we both chose or both have the same Accent Insurance solution moment of the game. Without further ado, I bring him in. He's a former scout in the Bob Gainey regime for the Montreal Canadiens of Recruits and Recruits.ca, and also of the Recruits Draftcast podcast. Grant McCagg, how are you, my man?
And president of the Uri Slavkovsky fan club, apparently.
You know what? If he keeps playing like this, I'm going to be the vice president.
Yeah, I should hit him up for just say give me some dineros there.
Oh yeah,
I'll come on Tony's show all the time and be a 50-goal scorer.
That's probably going to happen one day, Grant. Probably going to happen. No, but really, what a heck of a hockey game he had.
Yeah,
he had a real good one. That's how many multi-point games has he had? Is that his first 2-point game or his second this season? You know?
Yeah, it's his second. I do believe so. And I mean, I thought it was kind of cool, the 2 points, the way he got his points, shooting, trying to shoot, which they've been telling him to do more.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's finally getting a bit a reward because he's been going to the front of the net hard. Like, he's the best net front presence on the club, I think, and hadn't really been paying off for him. But, it did tonight sure, it was a lucky bounce, but he was there, and he was there all night, standing, screening the goalie, and he's been doing it. He does a lot of stuff away from the puck that you don't necessarily notice because it's away from the puck, right?
Yeah, of course.
And tonight, and since he's been, I think the last month, he's been great in the corners. He's been going to the front of the net, doing all the blocking shots, doing all the hard things, and finally getting rewarded for it with a couple of points tonight. Since he played with Caulfield and Suzuki,
yeah,
their advanced stats have been great.
Yeah.
And again tonight, they're all like 90% expected goals. I mean, I was just looking at the stats there. Slavkovsky, 78% Corsi, 79% Fenwick, 92% expected goals percentage. I mean, that's almost perfect, right? So
yeah,
they're starting to the points are starting to come for that line, because I think that they've generated a ton of offensive chances, and it's finally starting to pay off.
And I'll agree with you in terms of the net front presence. I mean, when I think of going to the front of the net, getting his body there, and by the way, with each and every game, you're seeing that he's harder to get out of the way, and he's harder to bump out of the way. And folks, for all of you watching on YouTube Live, on Facebook Live, and on Twitter Live, when Grant talks about, play away from the puck, well, scouts have the luxury, or one of the tools that they use, of course, is software, which breaks down every single shift of every single player if they want to. So Grant actually has the ability to go take a look at every one of Slavkovsky's shifts and basically zero in on him if he wants to. And you can check out Grant, of course, on Twitter, because he puts a lot of those clips of some things that you might not notice during the game, that when you go back and you take a look at individual shifts, focusing primarily on a player, then you're able to pinpoint, or he's able to pinpoint certain things out for you. And so, okay, why don't we do this? Let's take a look at the lines if we can bring them up. There you have it. Suzuki, once again, like Grant said, with Caulfield and Slafkovsky again. Evans centering Monahan and Anderson, and you got to love Jake Evans. He's been up there for a while now. Dvorak with Armia on his left and Gallagher on his right, and Stevens with Ulanen and Emil Heineman playing his first NHL game. Unfortunately for Emil, he had less than 6 minutes to show. Matheson and Savard, Gooley and Barron, Struble and Kovacevic, and Samuel Montembeault got the start in goal. Let's take a look at the score sheet, Grant, if we can.
Yeah, let's look at that, Tony.
Hey, here we go. First period, it's Boldy on the power play, assisted by Rossi and Kaprizov. And then Rossi, about a minute and 35 seconds after Boldy had scored, assisted by Foligno and Bogosian. In the second period, it's Caulfield and Suzuki assisting on David Savard's shot that goes up and over Gustafsson. In period number 3, here's one that Grant was talking about. All right, it goes from Matheson, takes a shot. Slafkovsky's parked in front of the net. No, pardon me. Slafkovsky takes the shot. Pardon me. Slafkovsky takes the shot. Suzuki goes to the front of the net, puts his stick on the ice, and is able to get a piece of it, and then it basically falls right to his feet, and then he's able to jam it home pretty much into an empty cage. Faber with his second of the year on a power play. Goal was assisted by Kaprizov and Rossi, and at that point you probably thought, okay, Minnesota surrendered already a 2-0 lead. They're not going to surrender the 3-2 lead at home with 10 minutes to go. But once again, Juraj Slafkovsky ties this game when Matheson takes a shot and it deflects off of Savard takes a shot, pardon me, and it deflects off of Slafkovsky, and then it goes off of Middleton, and it goes in. And then they go to overtime, and we'll bring up the overtime, and there you have it. It's Faber to Johansson. Suzuki's a little late at getting at Johansson. Goulie's trying to cut off the pass. It goes over Goulie, right to Kaprizov, and Cole Caulfield watches Kaprizov snipe it home. I think there's a lot of positives in this game, Grant, but at the end of the day, who decided this game again? The biggest superstar on the ice.
Yeah.
And Kirill Kaprizov.
I don't know. I think they overplayed Caulfield and Suzuki in the overtime too. I mean, they played 23, both played over 22 minutes, and I think they played at least 3 minutes out of the overtime there.
Yeah.
I realize that they're supposed to be the best guys, but I don't know. Slav was having a heck of a game. I think he could have had more than one shift in overtime. They don't, they're starting to use him a little bit in overtime, but he's still, certainly it's those two that Marty leans on. And they were tired, they'd been out there for minute and a half at least. And it showed, they couldn't, they just didn't have anything left. Unfortunately.
I thought Jake Evans did a great job in overtime, by the way, killing the penalty and applying pressure on the puck carrier, forcing a turnover. And then the Canadians were able to get the puck out of the zone because Minnesota could have ended it earlier. We saw 4-on-4 action for a while. And, open ice, though, you talked about Suzuki and Caulfield playing a lot, but Minnesota, did you see the way John Hines was throwing Kaprizov over the boards like almost every other shift? Let's go.
Oh yeah.
And they're using the basketball strategy, right? Get the ball into the hands of the best player for basketball, get the puck onto the stick of the best player for the Minnesota Wild. And Kaprizov, he demands that puck, Grant?
Yeah, he's a heck of a player for sure. One interesting thing I noticed when you were putting up the stats there.
Yeah,
Montreal scored 3 goals, and 4 players had 2 points. Savard, Suzuki, Matheson, and Slavkovsky. How often you see that? That's kind of a rare thing,
Yeah, that is rare. That is rare. You're right about that. Nick Suzuki, 24 minutes and 17 seconds, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. He had 6 shots in this hockey game. Suzuki was going tonight, boy. Slavkovsky, 1741, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. He was +1 and had a couple of shots in this hockey game. And Cole Caulfield, the third player on that line, had 1 assist in the hockey game, and he had 4 shots, 21-56. But once again, Caulfield was good, but the other 2 players were better than him on that line.
Yeah.
I thought anyway.
Well, yeah, but he's like, the last time I was on there and Snake was on with us, and I was thinking that when I was watching Caulfield tonight, like what he said about all he does is shoot. Like that's
what I wanted to do.
He's making lots of plays this year.
Yeah, he is making plays. Yeah, he is making plays.
He's all over the ice, and he's keeping the puck in the zone, forechecking well, and I think he's playing well defensively, and the stats have shown that.
Got the assist on the game-winning goal last game. Right,
yeah. No, he's more than just a shooter, I do believe, and I think the games that he's played since then, it's funny, he talked about don't go to the net. Well, he went to the net quite a few times the next game. It's like, I don't know if he watches the podcast or not, Tony, but it was like, he did the exact opposite of what Snake said he does. The next game, he was playmaking. He was all over the ice. He went to the front of the net. And again tonight, I thought he did. So, and I thought Matheson had just a wonderful game. He's just such a skater. He makes some plays. It just,
Matheson
like
was
even
flying.
Dave Poulin was gushing over it there at one point, and I was too. He just, wow. I thought Matheson and Faber were both terrific on each side. And it's funny, they were talking about, well, Faber's played 30 minutes, 3 of the last 4 games, all this. And, but then they said, well, Bedard's a runaway leader for the Calder and Rossi's coming close. Well, as far as I'm concerned, Faber's I would put Faber right up there with Bedard as far as I hope he gets a nomination, because they don't give enough credit to defensemen. He doesn't have great stats. Well, a defenseman doesn't have to have great stats. He's playing 30 minutes a game. And he's terrific.
He's the second most valuable rookie this season.
Yeah.
He's the second most valuable rookie. By the way, a great story for those who aren't aware, right? Kid's a Minnesota boy, and they showed it on television tonight, as a matter of fact. I mean, he was going to watch games as a fan. He was sitting in the front row. He was cheering them on. There's video footage of him cheering on the Wild when they scored some goals and stuff like that, but drafted by the Los Angeles Kings in round 2, 45th overall in 2020. And he ends up going over to Minnesota in the trade for Kevin Fiala. And so a Minnesota boy who ends up, being traded to go play back home. He played University of Minnesota, by the way, for 3 years. And the kid's unbelievable. And I know a lot about this kid, Grant, because I picked him up in my pool. Now, it's not just a points pool. It's a minutes played, and it's a plus minus, and there's a lot of points for that. All right. So that's why I picked him up in the pool. And he's doing really, really well. I like him a lot. Grant,
are you leading your pool?
No, I'm last.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to explain to you my strategy. Okay. There's 20 people in the pool.
Yeah.
And the 19 other people have been in it for 3-4 years or whatever it is. Okay. Yeah. And so somebody backed out. So I came in. And when I came in, I got the last pick in the draft. So I automatically, they gave me the 20th pick in the draft. So I get 20 and 21, right? So the best players are gone.
Right.
Doesn't mean you can't win the pool. You can still win. But long story short, if you finish last, you have a 45% chance of getting the number 1 pick next year. So I'm doing what the Chicago Blackhawks did.
You're tanking
last year. I'm tanking is basically what I'm doing. Yeah, a lot of people in there, they're like, yeah, I don't understand. You're not starting a full roster. You're starting guys that are on the IR. Yeah, don't worry about it. I said, no, well, don't worry about it. All right, okay.
Josh Anderson first or what?
No, I didn't. Okay. I picked Sebastian Aho first, and yeah, he's okay. Grant, when you don't have a fourth line, it's probably the least of your worries, because the most of your worries are when you don't have a first line, or the most of your worries are when you don't have a first pairing on D. Yeah. But they got to do something about this fourth line, Grant. They play 6 minutes a game. And so you talk about playing the heck out of Suzuki and Caulfield, and my buddy Peter in Côte St. Luc would be pretty happy that the Montreal Canadiens are double shifting their best players. I get that. But it is an 82 games. You can't go on with a fourth line playing 6 minutes a game, Grant.
Yeah. It's tough to get going, too, when you only play,
Yeah.
3 shifts a period.
I think it sucks for Heineman, like he's playing his first game in the National Hockey League. He played less than 6 minutes.
And I mean, he looked responsible. Like, he was away from the puck. I was keeping a pretty close eye on him because it's his first game. And, he did a lot of little things well, and was strong along the wall, back checked. I thought he deserved, to play a little more. And even Ylonen, I thought, had some jump tonight. Yeah. And I would have liked to have seen him be playing more than 6-7 minutes, because certainly I don't understand why Ylonen has not gotten top 9 opportunities while Armia keeps getting it. Armia's back to, the invisible Armia that it seems like, what do they got to do? Send him down after every second game, and then it only seems like he plays well when he gets called up for that.
Grant,
one game.
I want to get to Armia in a second, but I just want to get back to Heineman if we can.
Sure.
Last season, Heineman played 11 games with the Laval Rocket, and he scored 7 goals. And the time that he was down with the Rocket last year, and this year he's got a goal in 7 games, but the time he was down with the Rocket last year, he played with Stevens and Ylonen. So they got chemistry together. Not all the games, by the way, but a couple of games. Right. So they got some chemistry together. So they know each other a little bit. And I thought, okay, you know what? Give these guys 10 minutes tonight. We'll see what happens. But didn't work out in that respect, which is too bad. Josh Anderson, who's been pretty hot over the last couple of games. I thought it was a rather quiet game for Anderson tonight.
That line, pretty much. I think, Tony, one of the reasons why they only got 6-7 minutes is because the Canadians were trailing for just about all game, right?
Yeah, that's true too. 2-0 and then 3-2. Yeah.
So they were trying to get Suzuki line out there as much as they could, I guess. But
do you think Marty St. Louis made a mistake by not dressing Pizzetta tonight against a team that has Foligno, who hits really hard and can drop the gloves? They got Pat Maroon. They got Duhaime, who's an energy player. Gaudreau's a big man. Boldy's big. Eriksson Ek is big. It's a pretty big team up front. You saw Bogosian lay the smackdown on Brendan Gallagher. He slapped him around a couple of times. Was you think that's a mistake by Marty St. Louis that he didn't have at least Pizzetta in the lineup tonight?
Yeah, I thought that he'd play, and it being a road game too, and they're on a road swing, and I agree. They didn't. There wasn't a lot of size out there. Anderson didn't really do anything physically tonight.
Yeah,
it was. The only guy that played with a bit of physical edge, I thought maybe was Struble, but he's not the biggest guy in the world, like size-wise either, right?
Yeah.
But he's strong as an ox. But I mean, only the second time in the last 12 games that they got a point playing against Minnesota. So
yeah.
You can only be so critical, I guess, in Minnesota.
Yeah. They haven't won there in like 11 or 12 years or something. They were saying crazy.
It was 12 years. Alex Auld was the goalie.
Wow. That's something. I asked the question regarding Pizzetta. I was on with George Larac and Stefan Gonzalez earlier today at BPM Sports Radio, where I do a daily hit Monday to Friday at around 12:40 p.m. And they had some good points. They asked me, what do you think of Pizzetta not in the lineup? And then they said, well, and I said, Marty probably wants to see a Wolfpack mentality, and they haven't been, abused all that much this season. I mean, how many games, 30 plus games into the season, how many games did you say, they could use a little bit of size, or they could use some physicality, or someone who could drop the gloves? Maybe the only game was in Buffalo, right? But then they came back and they had a very, very good point. And they said, well, Minnesota's a big team. Chicago's not. You're playing in Chicago tomorrow night. Why don't you just play Pizzetta in Minnesota and give him a rest in Chicago? It's a good point.
Yeah,
it's a good point. I can't
argue with it.
I would have asked Marty the question if I would have been there and say, hey, Marty,
yeah. I mean, I'm glad that Heineman, they're calling him Heineman, I guess. And it's Miro Heiskanen now. Apparently you pronounce the E-I-A.
Okay.
Now, Heineman, he, I'm glad he got in the lineup. And I don't think Ylonen should have been out, but I personally would have taken out Armia and had Pizzetta in there.
What a stupid penalty Armia took tonight. By the way, the penalty on Caulfield was bullshit.
Yeah, there were a few of those tonight, Tony. I don't normally get that worked up about the officiating, but there were 4 or 5 calls that just made me shake my head, Even the interference call that Matheson got or whatever at the start of that power play, and there was 4 or 5. And why did Bogosian not get 5 minutes? You know, like you punch a guy, you drop your gloves and you punch a guy that doesn't. Like I didn't understand why he didn't get 5 for that.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I hear you.
It was just one of those nights where, considering that I think that the officiating was poor at best, road game, Minnesota, where they never win, to get a point out of it, I'll take it. You know, I think starting this road swing, if you'd have said that they'd get 3 points on this road trip,
yeah,
I wouldn't have been surprised, and they already have 3. So, so far so good. An encouraging start to this very pivotal swing, because if they end up losing like 6 of the 7, they're out. They're definitely out of the race, and they want to stay in the race. They want to as long as they can. So.
Yeah. Listen, Grant, we can't. This is big time character by the Montreal Canadiens. You don't, you don't hang around the way they have for 31, 32 games and do it by fluke. They're doing it with heart. They're doing it because they're progressing. They're doing it because they're getting better. They're doing it because, as Marty said, they are locked in. These guys are dialed in. They want it. I kind of get the feeling, without being in that locker room, I kind of get the feeling that this team is being pushed to make a run for the playoffs more so than we're being led to believe with all the rebuild talk. I mean, it's not like they've never said that they don't want to make the playoffs, but I think there's an expectation to actually make the playoffs, right? I get the feeling they all really believe, and that's the message from Gordon. That's the message from Hughes. That's the message from St. Louis. Having said that, I would imagine Marty St. Louis, I didn't have a chance to hear him speak tonight, and I don't know what he said, but I would imagine he must be a little bit upset. The game was decided with 5 seconds left in the overtime, and the most dangerous player on the ice was left unattended. I don't know, 5 seconds more, you're going to a shootout, and you have a chance to pull it off, you know?
Yeah. Not one goal where they checked for offside. Earlier in that shift, they were offside, blatantly offside.
Yes.
And they almost scored. I was almost hoping that they did, because they would have checked it and it would have been turned back. But then later they're within a hair of being offside again. They score, Montreal challenges, and they lose the challenge. So I was, at that point in the game, the way things have been going, playing against Minnesota for like they were 1-10 going into this game.
Yeah.
I thought it was a lost cause. So I'm still glad that they managed to pull a point, to get a point out of it. And especially when they got the power play then again at the end of the third period, I figured they were done for sure. So,
yeah.
But, and then who knows if they win the shootout, right? So,
yeah.
But yeah, you never like to lose with 4 seconds left in overtime. It's, it's disappointing in that regard.
Yeah. Toronto Maple Leafs, by the way, took 9 in Buffalo tonight. They took 9 in Buffalo after the Sabres got absolutely annihilated from the Columbus Blue Jackets a couple of days ago. But that's a rivalry, Buffalo-Toronto, of course, because of the proximity. And they really give it to the Leafs. They really, really give it to the Leafs tonight, boy. Let me tell you. Funny
that you were talking about pools, and I never picked Toronto players for a pool.
Yeah.
But the one I'm in this year, I took it's a box, you take
of course,
out of a box. And the only good team in the box that I took Samsonov in was Toronto. So I took Samsonov, and he's just been horrible this year. And pulled again tonight, 5 goals in like the first period or something like that. So
that goalie in Minnesota, Gustafsson, he's pretty good. I like that. Yeah.
But there, that's the just desserts I get for taking it's karma, I think. Taking a Toronto player, and it's coming back to bite me.
Speaking of goalies, Grant, Montembeault made a big stop off of Eriksson Ek with the game tied. But other than that, I thought he was just okay tonight. Not more than that.
No. Well, he didn't face a pile of shots. That I think a big reason why Montreal's in the staying in thing in the race is those 6 defensemen that they have right now, that's a pretty. Somebody posted, and I commented on it today. They were showing a lineup from 2018 with Hudon on the first line.
Wow.
But what really impressed me was the defense. They had like the top unit was Alzner and Petrie. The second one was Jordy Ben and Joe Morrow. And
Wow.
the third was Mete and I forget who the other guy was, or Schlemko. Now,
My God.
you compare the 6 defensemen that they have right now to what they had then, it's night and day difference, you know. And Struble, again, just keeps impressing. I just think that this kid, he's never going back to the minors. And what are they going to do with Harris when I think Harris is going to get sent down when he's healthy for what they call conditioning.
Yeah.
And that'll only help Laval, you know.
Yeah.
Harris and Jackeye, that should be 2 pretty damn good AHL defensemen. And
You think at any point they dress 7D, 11 forwards? They're not playing their 4th line anyway.
Nah, maybe.
You can get Matheson's minutes down a little bit, you know, because I mean, Matheson playing 26, 27 minutes.
I'm not a big fan of 11-7.
No,
I
hear you.
I don't think defensemen are either, you know.
Yeah, but a lot of people aren't a fan of 3 goalies either. So, you know,
True. They don't play them all at the same time. But
yeah, no, that's true too. All right, okay. It's now time for the Accent Insurance moment of the game.
Accent Insurance moment of the game.
All right, so with the score tied at 3 and in overtime they go. There's only 5 seconds left in overtime. And Faber finds Johansson. Johansson's along the boards. Suzuki's a little late going to him. Caden Gooley's like, what do I do here to try and block off the pass? Drops to his knees, tried to block it off. It goes to Kaprizov. Cole Caulfield gave him a little bit of room, wasn't on him because he's looking to go maybe the other way or just couldn't get there in time. And boom, it was a bang-bang play from Johansson to Kirill the Thrill, who for the 2nd game in a row scores the game winner in overtime. And the Minnesota Wild, who beat the Boston Bruins by a score of 4-3 in overtime a couple of nights ago, beat the Montreal Canadiens by a score of 4-3 again in overtime. And that is what superstars do. Kirill the Thrill, who had over 100 points a couple of years ago. He is a superstar. And that was our Accent Insurance moment of the game. All right. We got that out of the way. My
moment of the game as the president of the Yuri Slavkovsky fan club was Yuri tying the game late. That would have been my pick, Tony. Little biased, though.
No, listen. I thought about it. And if the Canadians would have won the game, that probably would have been my Accent Insurance moment of the game.
Okay.
But in the end, I just decided to go with the game-winning goal. But it could have been that. At one point, I thought it was going to be the save. I was watching the game, and I'm like, okay, which one is my Accent Insurance moment of the game? At one point, I had the Faber goal. At one point, I had the Montembeault save off of Eriksson Ek. At one point, I had the Slafkovsky goal. And then right at the end, I'm going to go – listen, I have to admit, there's some bias here. I love Kirill the Thrill. I love him. He is
well,
so
you love your little Russians there. You love Michkov. You love
I never was a fan of Alexander Semin. So no, not all of them, but yes, some of them for sure. I thought Nikita Sherbak was going to have a better career than he had, but unfortunately that didn't work out all that well. All right, okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the phone lines at 1-888-585-7425, 1-888-585-7425. It's your chance to jump on a line. We're going to have an abbreviated sick podcast tonight. Of course, we started a little bit later. This is usually past my bedtime. I'm usually snoring by now, but we'll get to a couple of calls for sure. If you want to call in at 1-888-585-7425, 1-888-585-SICK is the number. Before we can get to some calls, maybe I'll bring in a couple of questions. Here we go. Struble has great hockey sense, says Pierre Cloutier. Yes, he does. Jose says Harris isn't going anywhere. Okay. Harris will be packaged in a deal with a goalie, says Kook 69. Other than that, we have Harris to go down on a conditioning stint, says Patrick. Sean says Columbus is open to trading virtually anyone. Do you give up Montreal's 2024 first for Kent Johnson?
No, they're not getting rid of Johnson. I mean,
No, they're not getting rid of him.
That's part of the future. You
Yeah.
know? They'd be more tempted to try to trade Line A or someone like that, you know.
By the way, the Columbus Blue Jackets have a pretty interesting second line, with Voronkov and Marchenko.
The Russians? Back to the Russians again?
Yeah, back to the Russians, yeah. No, but, when they're either on or off, but when they're on,
they're,
Marchenko
was my sleeper in his draft year. I had him ranked 16th overall.
He's looking pretty good.
Picked to like 48. And he's living up to, he should have been a top 20 pick the way he's playing. He's a goal scorer.
Yeah, he's good. Johnny Hockey woke up last game with 3 points. It's a good thing that he did, because my buddy Terry was like, I'm going to dump him in my hockey pool. I said, Terry, hold on another week. And he picked up 3 points. All right. Okay. It's now time for your calls.
You called. Presented by Playground.
At Playground, because when you're playing at Playground, you know what you want to do if you got good cards? You call. And that's what we're doing here. You called. All right. Where are we going? Hello. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with?
Minnesota, Tony. I have the pleasure of speaking with you. It is my honor to speak with you after all these years of listening to you on the radio. And finally, I get to speak to you. How are you, my friend?
I am doing extremely well. Thank you very much. I was at Carrefour Angrignon in Villa Sal earlier today. As a matter of fact, I went for an eye test. And I do need glasses, but they told me that my eyesight for a man my age is actually above average, which was good. I was very happy to hear that. And I bumped into a gentleman as I was going to the men's room, and he looked at me and he said, Tony Marinaro. And I said, yes. And he looked at me and he said, you broke my heart leaving the radio station. And I said, I'm really sorry to hear that. And I want to thank you for your support. But, I may have broke your heart, but when I looked at my bank account working radio as long as I did, I was broke. So I had to do something about it. But anyway, we joke.
I've actually been in radio for the better part of 15 years. I'm originally from New York. I worked for WFAN, so I worked for the Yankees flagship station, and now
really?
So now I'm here in Minnesota. I work with Mike Francesa, if you know him.
Yeah, of course I do, Mike. Yeah, of course. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so I was his producer for a little while, and now I work in Minnesota for KFAN, which is the Minnesota Wild flagship station. But I am a Montreal Canadiens fan. Half of my family's from Montreal. My uncle is a doctor. Yeah, I met Jean Beliveau at Cavendish Mall when I was a kid. My whole family up there is from Côte Saint-Luc.
Oh, amazing.
He owns a travel store near Fairmont Bagel called Jet Setter, right there off of Takari. So I'm talking a little Montreal there with you.
No, that's pretty cool. But you know what? You should leave your number with Agnello so we can get a hold of you. You can put him in touch with a couple of people in Minnesota, and we can get a podcast going out of Minnesota. You see, that's exactly what I do. I give Agnello names. He opens up podcasts everywhere around North America. He makes money, and I make nothing. But anyway, that's the story of my life. So the gentleman says to me, he says, just can you give me one reason why you went from radio to podcasting? I said, I can give you several, but I'll tell you this. If I could tell you that you could work 3 times less and make 3 times more, would you do it? The conversation ended pretty fast. He understood everything.
I would do it. Yeah, and you taught me a little Italian. Felicità. You taught me that. So
senti nell'aria c'è già la nostra canzone d'amore che va. come un pensiero che sa di felicità. Stop, you're ruining a classic. Senti nell'aria c'è già un raggio di sole più caldo che va. That's the next thing on the bucket list, by the way. I'd like to be opening act at the Bell Center would be a pretty big arena for my first gig, but Place des Arts in front of 3,000 people, I think I could pull it off. So, well, Tommy, what's on your mind? What do you think of the game? What do you think of the game?
So, I was sitting 15 rows off the ice. I was sitting in the corner right where Caden Gooley lit up Kaprizov, and let me tell you something. I jumped out of my seat like I was a Price is Right contestant. That's how excited I was. That's what I want to see from my defensemen against their star player who ended up getting the winner, and we get the point in overtime, and that's great. But I loved what I saw from Caden Gooley, and now I understand why they're building from the back end. The first pass is out of the zone from Struble, and the skating from Matheson, and the plays that Gooley has been making, and you see it on the back end. You see what they're trying to do. I understand they don't generate enough offense. They didn't play the third or fourth line a lot. They weren't generating a lot, and it was mostly the first line that was generating, including the power play goal late. But I really, really liked what I saw from my defense, and I think that the future is bright there. It's going to be a numbers game. So really what I wanted to ask you is, and I know you were just talking about it with Grant, but who's here who's going to stay long term? Because it seems like there's going to be way too many defensemen once Lane Hudson comes up, and once some of these other guys come back, like Jordan Harris and Arbor Xhekaj from the AHL. It seems like there's going to be too many defensemen for too few spots. What do you think?
I'll tell you who's not going to be here long term.
Savard.
By the trade deadline next year, I think there's two defensemen that are going to be gone. One is David Savard, and the other one is Jonathan Kovacevic. And I like them both, obviously, but Savard, his contract is going to be up at the end of the year. He'll be an unrestricted free agent. Kovacevic, he's one of those, I think they already know what his ceiling is, and there's so many younger ones under him that they don't quite know what their ceiling is yet. I also think being a drafted player by the Canadiens can help some defensemen. I get the feeling that they like Kovacevic because of what they have now. But Grant, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you that those are the two guys that are most likely to go.
Yeah.
But they're both right defensemen.
They are.
And now someone's going to have to, win a spot by then on the right side. Will it be Mayu? Will it be Reinbacher? Like, I don't see both of them being traded this deadline, but I think the plan is to be in the playoff hunt next year. So maybe they don't trade, maybe they trade one this deadline. Maybe they trade the other in the off season. Or maybe early next year, but somebody's going to have to step up on the right side. Now, the other option would be that one of these guys slides over, right?
Yeah.
That's not always ideal, but certainly Harris has played. And that might be what saves him as far as, not going down to the minors.
Yeah.
But I think Lidstrom can play too. He hasn't been in the lineup for a while, but I don't really think he's any worse than Kovacevic, to be honest with you. Like, I think that there's similar ability there. So Kovacevic is a little bigger maybe, but there's that option too, but they've got to get him in the lineup. I've been surprised that they haven't sat Kovacevic a game and let Lindstrom get in there for a game or two, because I think he's been the spare defenseman, the last 6 or 7 games or something like that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them do that at some point. Get him a game in there, because I don't think he was playing poorly at all.
Kovacevic definitely has a bigger body, of course, than Lidstrom, like you pointed out. You know,
It's not physical,
Kovacevic was drafted 74th overall, and Lindstrom was actually drafted before that. He was drafted 38th overall. So not that it makes a difference, but for the most part, there was scouts.
He was a waiver wire pickup too, right?
Yes, he was.
So I mean, they didn't give up anything for Kovacevic. So I think that he's fine for now, but down the road, he's just like Jake Evans. Jake Evans is fine for now.
Yeah.
It's funny, the last 2 or 3 weeks, I was ready to say, well, whatever with Jake Evans, but now, we seem to go through that with Jake Evans the last 2 or 3 years. Say, well, we don't really need him. And then, he's playing well.
He's valuable. He's valuable. He's a good hockey player. Yeah, he's valuable. He's a good hocky player.
Hey, now he's playing well.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Owen Beck has more upside. And when he's ready, he's replacing him in the bottom line role to start. I think.
I agree with you 100%. Hey, my friend, if you can, call back and leave on yellow your coordinates or email me, Tony@thesickpodcast.com, because I'd like to get a hold of you at some point. All right?
Will do, Tony. Again, the pleasure's all mine, and thank you so much for taking my call tonight. I'll be in touch, okay? Take care, folks.
You're very welcome. My God, is that guy polite or what? It's unbelievable. Is he polite or what?
You can tell he's on radio, too. Pretty smooth.
He's definitely got a radio voice, yes. Okay, why don't we take one or two more? Why don't we do that? Brandon, what's going on?
Not much. Tony, how are you guys doing?
Very good. Entertaining game tonight in Minnesota. It was good.
It was an entertaining game. I wouldn't say it was good, though. I wouldn't say it was good. I'm not as happy as the last guy.
Why?
Why? I mean, how many times did you see Bogosian cross-check Caulfield, poke at Caulfield in the offensive zone? I mean, you can't get anywhere near the center of the ice. We need Jack-Eye back in the lineup.
Yeah, but, okay, I hear you, all right? So, Jack-Eye's back in the lineup, all right? And you think Bogosian's going to stop cross-checking Caulfield because Jack-Eye's back in the lineup? You believe that? Absolutely. Yeah. Really? Okay.
I watch a lot of the games. I watch all the games. I'm a pretty big fan.
Listen. I don't agree with. You could be right. I don't Jack-Eye's very tough. All right. He's not Jack the Giant Killer. That's number one. And number two, there's only so many times you can fight in a hockey game. And number three, they're not always going to be on the ice together. And I'm going to tell you this. If Caulfield's on the ice, chances are Jack-Eye's not going to be on the ice.
I don't think Zach Bogosian's intimidated by the presence of Arbor Jack-Eye in the lineup either. Like these NHL guys like Bogosian, he's 6'2", 230 pounds. And strong and tough. He's not going to not hit Gallagher because Arbor Jack-Eye is sitting on the bench.
I disagree. I really disagree. I don't think that Bogosian will be punching Gallagher while he's down on the ground when he knows that Jack-Eye's coming back 5 shifts later to come at him. When you watch the games when Jack-Eye was in the lineup at the beginning of the season, Caulfield's cutting to the middle. He's cutting inside the middle of the ice, inside the face-off dots, scoring goals. Now he doesn't even go past the face-off circle.
Hold on. You think Caulfield was cutting to the inside of the ice because Jack-Eye was on the bench?
Because Jack-Eye was there. Most of the time, Jack-Eye's on the ice when Caulfield was playing. When Caulfield and Suzuki were on, Jack-Eye was on the ice a lot of the time.
If Jack-Eye was up with the Montreal Canadiens right now, the Canadiens are putting their transition defenseman on the ice when Suzuki, Slafkovsky, and Caulfield are on. They're not putting a defenseman who has the hardest time getting the puck out of his own zone of every other defenseman on the team. And was it Tuomo?
They're not putting a defenseman on that's going to get a stupid penalty and go on the PK. That's why he got sent down.
Jack-Eye's playing 12 minutes a game, and Caulfield and Suzuki are playing 22. And was it Tuomo?
Yeah.
Oh, well, Savard's taking the same penalties Jack-Eye's taking tonight, shoving Rossi down to the face in the first period. Everyone's taking the penalties, but Jack-Eye's taking them and teaching guys a lesson.
And was it?
Savard had a very good game tonight. He had 2 points, and he was. I thought he had a great game.
I thought Savard had a great game. The one thing you can't do if you really want to, It's been brought up before. I don't think it's a stupid point, but you can slot Arbor Xhekaj in to play wing at time to time. There's other defensemen who have done it. I know a lot of people are going to say the notion's stupid. He wouldn't be the first defenseman to play on the wing on a fourth line, and he won't be the last. All right? There's been a bunch of guys who were defensemen, ended up converting and playing forward. John Scott did it. Rick Chartraud did it. We brought that up. Jimmy Roberts did it.
Wendell Clark.
Wendell Clark did it. You're right about that. And, I know he's not a tough guy, but Matthew Dandino played both. Brent Burns played both. I mean, it's a bunch of guys who played defense and played wing. It's not, an unconventional thing to do. If you know how to play defense, you're going to know how to play wing on a fourth line.
I don't think they need that. I think they need Xhekaj right as a third pairing defenseman. I think that's exactly what he fits. He doesn't need to be a puck-moving defenseman. He's the
But who are you going to take out of the lineup right now?
Yeah, he's a left defenseman.
But who are you going to take out of the lineup? You realize that...
I have a controversial opinion about that one, honestly.
You have a controversial opinion? I can't wait to hear it.
I take Struble out.
You take Struble out? Hey, Jaden, we know you've been here for like 12 games or whatever it is, and we know that you've done everything that we've asked and more. We know that you don't make any mistakes. We know that you're not on the opposite end of a highlight reel. We know that you're playing the percentages, and we know that the puck doesn't stay in our zone very long when you're on the ice. But Brandon thinks you should come out of the lineup because he wants Arbor back on the team and on the ice, even though Arbor gives away the puck more, even though Arbor's more of a defensive liability, just in case something happens and Arbor decides to fight, unlike in Laval when he went down and something happened twice in front of his eyes and he didn't want to know nothing because he was either too shell-shocked to be down or it was his way of saying, you sent me down? Okay, here you go. But is he fighting anybody down there? Is he fighting anybody?
He can't fight anybody down there. Why? He can't fight anybody down there.
Well, why not?
They're not going to bring him back up. St. Louis clearly does not like tough players. I mean, Pezzetta's not in the lineup tonight. That makes zero sense against all of Marty's ideas of not changing the lineup after a win out of...
Pezzetta's not in the lineup because he's a number 13. And Xhekaj's not in the lineup because he's a number 7. You don't realize that?
Number 20.
Listen to it. Hold on a second. With all due respect to Pezzetta and Xhekaj, you don't realize that Pezzetta is a 13 and Xhekaj is a 7? You don't realize that?
I get that. It's not about Pezzetta.
So then it's not a scandal that they're out of the lineup. I mean, I love Arbor Xhekaj too. I think he's the coolest guy on the team. But what are we doing here? Like it's
okay. So we'll bring it down to this. Pezzetta, you rather him out of the lineup tonight instead of Stevens, instead of Armia.
But Stevens is a centerman. Stevens is a centerman.
I get that, but Evans, honestly, I think he needs to be moved back down. He's a great player, great defensively. He's great in his role.
Evans has done great. Evans has done great ever since he got promoted.
Great, but I don't see him bringing more than what he's bringing now.
I understand, but Evans playing on the second line has nothing to do with Pezzetta getting back in the lineup.
No, I get that, but other players.
But hold on a second.
Pezzetta to get back in the lineup.
Do you get that Jaden Struble in the games that he's played has been much better than Arbor Xhekaj this season in the games that he's played? Do you get that? Or yes or no?
I think that's why we should trade him.
We should trade who?
Struble.
Oh, so we're going to trade Struble because he's been so much better than Xhekaj, so we can get Xhekaj back in the lineup.
No, it has nothing to do with Xhekaj, Tony. It has to do with your philosophy, honestly. Buy low, sell high.
Oh, great! So
better than he is right now.
So great. Why don't they trade Slafkovsky too then? With that logic.
No, well that's different. He's a first overall draft pick. He has so much potential on tap. Struble.
Perfect. Okay, no problem. Okay.
Further than third pairing.
So you're trading Montembeault too, because it's the best of the 3 goalies.
No. When did I say anything about that?
Well, his value's never been higher. He's on a 3-year deal at $3.15 million. He's 26 years old. He's the best goalie on the team. Might as well trade him then with that logic.
No, he could get better. He still has years to get better. Goalies get better way later. If you think Struble is going to play ahead of Goalie,
I don't need – hold on a second. No, but Goalie and Matheson are first-pairing defensemen. Matheson already is, and Goalie will be going forward. But so hold on a second. So Struble can't get better? So you don't think Struble's ceiling is higher than Jack Eye's?
Not higher than a third-pairing defenseman. I don't think Struble's ceiling is higher than a third-pairing.
And what's Jack Eye's ceiling?
Sorry?
What? No, I beg your pardon? What's Jack Eye's ceiling? What is Jack Eye's ceiling?
Third pairing defenseman.
Okay, so great. So we both agreed that Struble has been 5 times better than Jack Eye this season in the games that they've played. He's been much better defensively. He's been much better with his positioning. He's been much better with his decision making. He's been much better than his passing. He's been much better with mobility. But for you, they're both third pairing defensemen, and the ceiling's the same. That's it. Yeah. Makes sense.
Do you think
okay,
second pairing defenseman?
I gotta go. I'm on the verge of either having a heart attack right now, going to the kitchen and sticking a fork in my eye, or going to the laundry room and drinking a bottle of Javel. And I'm contemplating right now. But in the meantime, this has been fun. Thank you for doing this. Let's talk in about a month, because I'm going to take about a month to recuperate, and then we'll be back. Thank you. Thank you. That was a riveting conversation.
There's this. How many fights has Jack Eye been in? About 4 or 5. How many fights did he really pound somebody? Like, even the fight against Cassian, the main thing that, what got everybody was excited was that he ragdolled the guy. I have not seen, there's this notion that Jack Eye is just this fantastic heavyweight fighter that I haven't seen him really beat somebody up at the NHL level. I mean, he's a good fighter. He's got a reputation, but this thought that NHL teams are intimidated by him and scared and they won't hit, that Gallagher wouldn't have gotten cross-checked by Bogosian. Jaden Struble might be a better fighter than Arbor Jack Eye. I mean, Struble is tough as nails and strong. We haven't seen him drop his gloves yet, but
I don't think
the NHL game has changed. Fighting's not the be-all to end-all. It's not 1990 anymore.
I don't think Struble's a better fighter than Jack Eye.
How do you know? Struble hasn't dropped the gloves, but I bet you Struble can handle himself more than well enough.
I hear you.
I haven't seen. I haven't seen Arbor Jack Eye.
Here's my logic. You ready? Because you asked me how I know. I don't know. I'm just going to go with some sort of logic, right?
Well, he's not as big, but I mean,
but one played in the OHL where there's he was able to fight, and the other one did not.
Right. Yeah. Struble played NCAA, so we don't know. You get kicked out of the games, right?
Correct.
And he hasn't fought in the NHL. I think we're going to be surprised when he does, because he's a physical specimen. You saw him when Tage Thompson tried to go to the net and he muscled him out of the way. I've never seen Jack Eye do that. As big as he is, he bounces off of Thompson there and doesn't move him out of the way. This kid's a freak of nature. So
yeah,
he hits as hard as Jack Eye does. He's more mobile than Jack Eye. His first pass, I don't think has he had a turnover yet? Is it in the Canadian? He's just there's no reason whatsoever to take him out of the lineup. None.
José Levesque, La Belle José, one of my favorites, says stop crapping on Jack Eye. I'm not crapping on Jack Eye whatsoever. I mean, I said what I said with all due respect. I think Gene Struble's been much better than Arbor Jack Eye once again, with his first pass, with his hockey sense, with his vision, with his mobility, with his taking players out of the play, with his defensive awareness.
He hasn't taken any stupid penalties.
He has not. With his discipline, I think he's been much better. I mean, do I want Jack Eye? Yeah, I like Jack Eye. I like to see him on the Canadians, and I know the fans love him, and I think he's got a great personality, and I think he's super tough, and I think he has an element that the Canadians don't really have. 100%. I agree with all that. But, if I'm going to tell you that I think Strubal's been better for the reasons that I mentioned, that doesn't mean that I'm crapping on Jacky. I think it means that, I really like what I'm seeing from Strubel. Anyway.
Right. And he was a top 50 pick.
Yeah.
Jacky was undrafted in the OHL, and so he's supposed to be better. Like, it's not like this is unusual that Strubel's come in and outplayed Jacky.
Yeah.
The Jacky story is fantastic. I hope that he polishes up his game and gets back to the NHL, and he plays here and there, and maybe he can play on the right side, Yeah. But I also don't think the trying him on the wing either is a bad idea if he can't. Because right now, Goalie, Matheson, and Strubel, you just can't play him. You can't play him ahead of those three guys. They're can't. They're arguably the three best defensemen on the club right now. So
yeah. Tony, that's why Arbor has been sent to Laval, so he can become a more complete player once he comes back up. Watch out. Yeah, could very well be. But it's interesting. It's interesting that they keep a lot of players here for development. And for Jacky's development, they chose to send them down. It's interesting. I mean, obviously there's a reason for it.
I just think that the fight, like how tough he is, has been overblown a bit too. I mean, he's been in what? How many fights has he been in the NHL? 5? Can you name one where he?
Well, he destroyed Cashin.
I think he hit him once. Like, if you go back and look at that fight, he hit him once and then he ragdolled him.
Well, yeah, it was
Cassian has already admitted that he was already like done.
Yeah, I understand.
He came back that year and he wasn't the same guy that he was before that.
I thought it was a pretty big statement. So he fought.
Yeah, but what did he do? He punched him once. Zach Cassian is nowhere near, and especially at the end of his career, he wasn't tough. Like he wasn't one of the tougher guys in the league. So I think it's been overblown, And even the Reeves fight, well, he caught Reeves by surprise, and he again, I don't think he landed a punch. He certainly didn't land a clean punch on him. So yeah, he out wrestled him or whatever, but
yeah.
As far as him, like old time fights where you'd see them trading blows, like we haven't seen it yet, even at the NHL level. So, I mean, what if he comes back and he gets his clock clean? Then what?
He fought Dmitry Voronkov of Columbus, who is not Jack the Giant Killer. He fought.
Well, he's a Russian. How many Russians fight?
Yeah,
he's big.
He fought Pat Maroon. It
was nothing. It was a nothing fight.
He fought Cashin that we talked about, and he fought Tanner Janot. He didn't do well in that one.
He didn't do well in that one.
No,
and Tanner Janot's not. I wouldn't say that he strikes the fear in God.
He fought Ryan Reeves, and he fought Vinny Desharnais. And the night he fought Desharnais when his
shoulder went out. Right,
yeah, his shoulder went out. Yeah.
So I think it's been overblown a bit, to be honest with you. Like it's not like he's going out there and he's just pounding all these guys, and he's been in 15 fights a year. He's only had a half dozen fights, and really the only one that a clear-cut victory would be the Cassian one. And so, I mean, how much does that change things for a club, And like even tonight, Montreal went into Minnesota, and for the first time in 12 years, they got a point. So, if Jacky would have been in the lineup, would they have got 2 points? Nah, I don't know.
All right. Not. Listen, I thought it was a good game. I thought there's a lot of positives. I thought Suzuki was good. I thought Caulfield was not bad. I thought Slavkovsky was very good. I thought Matheson was very good. I thought Savard was very good. I thought Evans was good. Who am I missing here? But this was a good hockey game tonight.
Yeah.
It was a real good hockey game tonight. And it's going to be the Canadiens versus Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks tomorrow on Friday, December 22nd. And I want to let everyone know Matt O'Hain will be in tomorrow. And then I want to let everyone know that, of course, because the National Hockey League is going to be off for several days during Christmas time, that on the Monday, the 25th, Tuesday, the 26th, and Wednesday, the 27th, the Sick Podcast will be on vacation, right? So the Montreal Canadiens, following the game versus the Blackhawks, will play the Carolina Hurricanes on Thursday, the 28th, and I'll be back for that one. So Matt O'Hain, the Sick Podcast tomorrow night. Then there's Saturday and Sunday, which of course we're off. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're going to be off like the National Hockey League is off. And when the National Hockey League resumes on Thursday, the 28th of December, and the Canadiens visit the Hurricanes in Carolina, we'll be back on again, same time, same place. For Grant McCagg, thank you very much. I very much appreciate it, Grant.
Thanks, Tony. On the 28th, where Andre Tournier is going to come on the Recruits Draftcast.
Oh, fantastic.
Just, the World Junior coach from a couple of years ago. So we thought it was timely to get him on to talk about the tournament and his memories and his great insight into the World Junior. So we're really looking forward to that next Thursday.
Grant, who do you have winning gold?
I think the U.S. is just too strong this year. They're loaded. Their top nine's crazy good. And then laying on defense.
I asked Craig Button yesterday, I said, who's going to be the player of the tournament? And he gave me a pretty good name, Cutter Gauthier.
Cutter Gauthier, I think so too.
Yeah.
Or Lane or Cutter, I think, will be the two guys that really stand out.
We'll be watching, Grant, and we'll be watching, of course, the Recruits Draftcast podcast. Sign up to Recruits and recruits.ca. Grant's publication, of course, you can sign up monthly for less than $3.50 a month. It ends up being less than $50 a year, and you have access to absolutely everything: mock drafts, player profiles, scouting reports, articles, everything. Check him out. He's Grant McCagg. For Agnello and Sammy and Juliana and Master Control, you're very welcome, my friend. I want to let you all know that if you like the podcast tonight, like it, share it with your friends. Comment Sick, S-I-C-K, S-I-C-K, S-I-C-K. What do you think of me taking a bath there? It was a nice shower. I needed a cold shower, and I was far away, and I got it with my Naya here. Gotta love Naya. And if you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple, it's our way of feeling the love. So thank you very much. It's my opportunity to wish you all a very happy holiday season. A very, very Merry Christmas. I hope that you're healthy and you're going to be able to enjoy it with your loved ones. So once again, thank you so much for all your support over the years, your continued support. And I'm going to need you, of course, going forward, because without you, there is no me. Without you, there is no show. Without you, there is no podcast. And we're happy that you're there, because there is a podcast. They're Cavallaro. I'm Marinaro. It's the Sick Podcast. Have a great night, everyone. Ciao for now.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaVie.tv. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.